let's talk NXT Heat Wave. So it was an okay show. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't as good as it could have been. There were some missteps along the way, but we'll talk about those. But I think overall the show was solid. Very solid show. Not much to complain about, but things that just could have been done better. So, some big things I think were kind of a miss. One of the things that I think has been a common problem is the lack of, I think, over-delivering. Usually I save my full review for the very, very end. I give you what happened and then I give a full review. This time I'm kind of going to give the full review first. Because I think that usually these shows, I think Raw and SmackDown have become the same, where you get what you expected and then nothing more. And then what you expected could be better. So now you're like, okay, they delivered, but it could have been better. You certainly could have done more. And then there are things where you weren't expecting it, but you exactly didn't really need it, didn't really want it. So we'll talk about that as we go through this. The new Cora Jade debuted on Twitter the other day, and people lost their minds. So if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. That's the only note that we got here. All right, match 1, Ilya Dragunov and Trick Williams. So this show really peaked early because this match ruled. Trick Williams was basically being dominated. He was getting his ass kicked by Ilya Dragunov. And then his character was to fight from underneath. Even though Trick Williams was the bigger man, Dragunov's ferocity, his experience, everything is what gave him the advantage. And he was able to, really put the beats on Trick Williams and make it look believable, And then Trick had to fight back. He had to dig within himself and find the firepower to fight back. And that was really good. The height of Trick Williams' offense was a rock bottom off the second rope, which was a very, very close 2 count. I was very impressed with that. This match was very impressive. Trick Williams also has a new theme. I'm not a fan of it, which is, typical. This was the right decision. Dragunov is clearly continuing to creep up. Trick Williams is where he is right now. He's just getting started, really. They're teasing him turning heel, but we'll talk about that later. But Trick Williams losing this match didn't hurt him at all. I don't think many people expected him to win. But the point wasn't to win. It was to get him to hang. And once he can hang with Dragunov, he can beat most people. And sort of get Dragunov's respect. So this was pretty good. Next, we had Tyler Bate was doing some kind of Zen monk stuff. And trying to embrace pain or embrace something. Or it was stupid. This is just so stupid. Nathan Fraser asked him to be in his corner because the metaphor was going to be in the corner of Noam Dar. Then he says since Tyler Bate did him 2 favors, he owed him a title shot. And once he gets down from Noam Dar, he's going to get it. So Tyler Bate joined Nathan Fraser to fight Noam Dar in the metaphor. And Noam Dar wins the North American Cup. The Heritage Cup. 2-1. Defeating Nathan Fraser following the Nova Roller in the 6th round. At one point, Dabba-Kato came out and attacked Tyler Bate, which distracted Nathan Fraser and allowed Noam Dar to get a quick roll-up. Then in round 4, Nathan Fraser got a pin. So, the thing about these Heritage Cup matches is, technically they're still good matches, but man, do they eat up a lot of time. That's 12 minutes that they ate up on this show, plus commercials. That's on one match. If you're not interested in the Heritage Cup, 12 minutes is a lot of time to invest into a match that you might not be all that interested in. And I really question how interested people are actually in it. Then you have Nathan Fraser, who promised Tyler Bate a title shot and then promptly lost the damn cup. So he can't even deliver on the promise that he made to this guy. Then you got Dabba-Kato, who insists on fighting one of the smallest men on the roster. And then you got that cockeyed half-wit Shawn Michaels, who refuses to turn Tyler Bate heel. You coward. turn Tyler Bate heel. This is stupid. Why is he getting beat up by Dabba-Kato? There's no reason for this. Who the hell wants to see Dabba-Kato anyway? I mean, I like the big guys as much as the next person, but at least they should have some talent or some charisma or some presence, not just be big. You know? Jesus. This sucks. This guy sucks. So Noam Dar comes out of this thing as a 3-time Heritage Cup champion. The Heritage Cup is now back to being relevant because Noam Dar has it. Because he's a very fun champion, if nothing else. Later on, the metaphor is celebrating. They're pouring champagne in the cup. They going hard. They're talking about how Nathan Frazier never should have been a champion anyway, so they're not really going to count his run. And then some weirdo came with a letter announcing an NXT Heritage Club Global Invitational where 8 men will compete in a tournament to wrestle Noam Dar at No Mercy. Noam Dar did not care about this tournament. He was just happy that he does not have to defend his title for 5 weeks. So they were celebrating that he does not have to defend the title until No Mercy. So they didn't announce any of the 8 men, but basically telling everybody ahead of time that, it's amazing that they put so much effort into this Heritage Cup, considering the effort they put into the NXT title and the effort that they put in on the women's title, which is almost no effort whatsoever. For them to actually have a tournament for the Heritage Cup, but the women's title is just a random fatal 4-way, which we'll get into in a moment. And the NXT title doesn't have any contenders at all, at least not currently. Says a lot about what Sean is apparently very interested in on this show. And for some reason, he's infatuated with the Heritage Cup. Well, look, Noam Dar has charisma. He's funny. I'll give it a pass because the metaphor is, they're starting to gel. They're starting to work. And so I'll really give it a break. But let's be honest here. We really don't need that much Heritage Cup stuff. We really don't. We could turn the Heritage Cup stuff down if we may. But at least Noam Dar is involved and he's very entertaining. The second match on the show, Ivy Nile defeated Ava Raine. I'm sorry, Ava, because her name is not Ava Raine anymore. They dropped the rain. You can't stop the rain. You can't stop the rain from falling. They did it anyway. This match wasn't very long. Apparently, Ava Raine won her first match over the weekend or something like that, which led a lot of people, myself included, to think she was going to win this match. And instead, she lost in like 4 minutes to Ivy Nile. She did not look ready for prime time. She's still not very good. But this was probably one of her better outings, if we're being honest. Ivy Nile, okay. She was the right one to win. I guess if you had somebody to beat her, Ivy Nile was the one. The Schism were wearing masks, which I think said "Are Diamonds Forever," and I think each one of them had I think one of them had R, and the other one had diamonds, and the other one had forever, and the other had question marks. I think that's what they had, but don't quote me on that. But after the match, Ivy Nile put Ava into the Dragon Sleeper again after the match. And then they started getting in the ring. And Ivy Nile was actually bumping grown men, knocking them down and stuff. And then 2 guys snatched Ava Raine and pulled her from the ring and carried her away. Then she cut a promo later talking about how these guys saved her life because Ivy Nile was trying to end her career and Ivy Nile is a coward. And that if Ivy Nile is not a coward, then she should meet her under the Schism's tree. And then Ivy Nile showed up. As Ava was talking about Ivy Nile being a coward, Ivy showed up. This Ivy thing is really kicking my ass mentally. Anyway, Ivy Nile showed up. Ava tried to sick the boys onto her, only to find out it's the Creed brothers. So they kidnapped Ava Raine and then demanded a cage match in order to be reinstated into NXT. Joe Gacy and the Dyad, they agreed, and that ought to be interesting. I don't know. I don't know if a cage match should have been the right move. I don't know. I guess it's fine, you know. But they're supposed to be suspended. They're supposed to be gone from NXT, and they have to win their right to come back. I think this match should have been for the Creed brothers' right to come back, where it should have been Ivy Nile fighting on behalf of the Creed brothers to get them to return, and then she wins, and they get to come back, and then they want to finish the job after they come back. And I think this match would have mattered more if that would have been the case. If it would have been that Ivy's fighting to return the Creed brothers to NXT, I think people would have gotten into this match a little bit more, and it probably would have got a better reaction. The Creed brothers saving themselves is very modern day. You know, it's okay for the girl to save the guys sometimes in a certain circumstance, and the Creed brothers kind of got screwed over. If Ivy Nile is the one who brings them back, that kind of works. It gets her over. It, you know, rebonds the group. It makes the fans happy. She gets a pivotal win that means something. And Ava Rain loses something that matters. And then you can still have the cage match. But so the Creed brothers beating them and getting back in, I don't know. That just seems very backwards. Like, you're already back if you're in the cage match, right? You're already back. And once again, we got the stupidity of the schism, bringing guys out wearing masks. And it's like, we didn't check to make sure it wasn't the Creed brothers again. Like, you guys are just stupid at this point, you know? You know, the Creed brothers keep wearing masks and mingling among your group. And no, you never make these people take masks off. You don't check. You don't do a mask check. Nobody's wearing a name tag. You know, what is going on here? You know, what kind of cult is this? Next, Dom and Rhea are backstage talking about punishing people. That's all they care about. That's all they want to do. When they were interrupted by Mustafa Ali, who gave Dominic the old break a leg. Then he says, no, literally, break your leg in like a million pieces so that we can have a real North American champion. But Dominic doesn't give a damn about NXT. He only cares about mommy. So then they have more words with Mustafa Ali before they threaten to kill him and he goes away. So this leads to the mixed tag match, which was another high point of the match. Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley versus Dragon Lee and Lyra Valkyria. There was some miscommunication a little bit between Dominic and Dragon Lee in the mid to late part of the match, but I don't think it was that obvious. It was just clear to me because I was paying attention because I actually wanted to see this, and this was very good. Rhea Ripley and Lyra Valkyria had a really good exchanges. If I could critique Lyra Valkyria a little bit, I would think that her offense looks kind of weak, especially her strikes. And if it wasn't for Rhea selling, I would not believe that those strikes would actually hurt anybody. You know, like, she definitely needs to start laying some of that stuff in. And also, -1 with the headbutts. When you throw a headbutt, it's an automatic -1. In my tip, I cannot stand headbutts. No headbutts. But she threw a headbutt to Rhea Ripley's stomach, which is quite possibly the dumbest place to throw a headbutt. Why would you throw a headbutt in a soft place? I'm going to headbutt you in one of the softest parts of your body. Get the hell out of here. The Raquel Rodriguez attacked Rhea Ripley from behind. You know, they fought off. This led Dominic Mysterio to be by himself, and he ends up getting pinned by Dragon Lee, which is fine because Dragon Lee now is in the title hunt. You know, so he has a claim to being a number one contender for the North American title. That's fine. So Dominic loses. You know, Dragon Lee wins in the end, which was the right thing to do. Lyra Valkyria picks up a win over Rhea Ripley, even though she didn't beat Rhea Ripley. So this worked out. Only problem I got is Dominic losing on back-to-back nights. If he was going to lose tonight, he probably should not have lost yesterday. He could have had it be Finn Balor. I mean, he loses 100 times anyway, so should have been somebody else. But Dominic losing on back-to-back nights, not good. But Dominic losing here was fine because you want Dragon Lee to be a top contender for the title, and you want to end this feud or end this arc for Dragon Lee and Lyra Valkyria on a positive note. So they end up winning. So this was good. You know, Rhea Ripley gave away a lot of offense in this match. In terms of Lyra Valkyria is probably the only person so far that has gotten a lot of offense in on Rhea Ripley. Usually Rhea Ripley's matches on Raw are a minute, 90 seconds, because she crushes people in singles competition. But on NXT, Lyra Valkyria is really pushing her to the limit. And I particularly liked I don't know what they do, that suplex from the powerbomb position. I don't know why she does it. It's so complicated. But the second time they did it and it was countered into a DDT was very nice. Lyra Valkyria is very slick with that. I have no idea what Lyra Valkyria's finisher is. I think I used to know, but I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore. But Dragon Lee wins. This was fun. This was actually one of the fun matches on the show too. So this made things better. One of the down parts of the show, my goodness, the women's promo segment. So many bad promos. Oh my God. For starters, everybody's bad. Tiffany's bad. Gigi's bad. Kiana James is bad. Blair Davenport is bad. Roxanne Perez is bad. All of them terrible promos. So I'm going to shrink this thing up. Tiffany Stratton came out there to talk about the Some Riff Tiff Tiff and how she's going to be the greatest women's champion of all time. She even mentioned Becky Lynch as one of the greatest NXT champions. Everybody jumped on her back about this because Becky Lynch was never the NXT women's champion. She would correct herself later when they announced the Fatal 4-Way, but in the moment even I was like, wait a minute, when did that happen? But I'm kind of dumb sometimes because I figure maybe she did win it and I don't remember, because stuff happens. I didn't remember when Ember Moon was the champion. I forget things. So it happened. It didn't happen. Becky Lynch was never the NXT Women's Champion. She even tweeted about it. So apparently she was watching the show. She live tweeted about it. And that's what led to the retraction by Tiffany later. But Tiffany wanted to be one of the greatest NXT champions of all time. Her promos are just not good. She's thinking too much. It's not coming to her naturally. She's trying to remember what she's supposed to say. And it's pretty clear. This is one of the most obvious. She's trying to remember what she was told to say promos in a long time. Usually you see people struggle with those things, but she's really out there kind of, this, and it's like, okay, look, just say what you got to say naturally. It's as natural as you can. On the other side, you got Gigi Dolan, who is trying to be as animated as possible, because one of her downslides is that she was Miss, wooden, no personality, no charisma. Now she's going in the other direction where she's trying to turn it up. When she told Tiffany to shut up and that she was looking forward to the fall of Tiffany Stratton. Then tried to angle herself as a top contender. I was not buying into this Gigi Dolan thing because I couldn't remember the last person she beat on her own. Outside of, and it may have been JC Jane, and it might have been months ago. Like her thing with Kiana James basically melted and went nowhere, and it was over. So as Gigi Dolan was talking, I was kind of spacing out because I'm like, what? What is she doing out here? And then Kiana James came out there, and she says that Gigi Dolan does not deserve a title match, which is absolutely correct. But then she said she does, which is incorrect, because she doesn't. She does not deserve a title shot. Then Blair Davenport came out there, who I was like, okay, maybe she does. But she sounds like Jamie Hayter II, where it's all accent. And she came across as being probably the most natural in promo in terms of it sounded less forced. It still doesn't sound like she's talking, but it still doesn't sound forced. But she came out there saying that they could talk about their material possessions, their social media followers, or daddy issues, but she's not. Then she gets into an argument with Gigi Dolan, where Gigi Dolan mocks her for getting beat up in a grocery store. And that was very nice. And then Roxanne Perez, who is the worst promo out of all of them, next to Tiffany Stratton, who is not a good promo, reminded everybody that she beat Blair Davenport, and then she sucker punched Tiffany Stratton, which led to the brawl. So we got a fatal 4-way match between all of these girls apparently next week. I'm going to guess. If I had to venture a guess, I'm going to venture to guess that Gigi Dolan is going to win this match because she got most of the words in here. She bantered with Tiffany, then she bantered with Kiana James, then she bantered with Blair Davenport. She didn't have an opportunity to banter with Roxanne Perez, but she did most of the talking, which means that they're putting the spotlight on her. So I'm going to guess that Gigi Dolan is going to win this match next week. Why they couldn't do a tournament? I don't know. It wouldn't it have been better if they did a tournament? I don't. They killing me with the fatal four ways and the triple threat matches, and they're becoming the most forgettable matches on the card. Here, number one contender battle royal thing. Okay, put all the girls in one match, and that's it. Stop doing that. You know, like why does the Heritage Cup get to eat up 12 minutes and nobody gives a fuck about it? Like, introduce more girls into this situation, and maybe you might actually get somebody over instead of trying to get them over in these stupid bunched up matches where there's 8 of them in the match. Come on, whatever. Tiffany Stratton definitely needs more work. Thankfully, this is NXT. If this was the main roster, I'd probably be pissed at how long this promo segment was. But because it was NXT, you got to accept that sometimes it's going to come across like community theater. And this is one of those times where nobody out there was a particularly good promo. But what can you do? You can't do much. I mean, some of them have never cut promos live in person before. So, you know, they're struggling to banter, and they're also being told what to say, and they're not getting to react naturally. I think they should loosen up with that, if we're being honest. It's time, like, Vince is not there. He's getting a new spine or whatever. He's got a spine transplant. He got a hot young spine from some young guy that died in a car accident or something like that. Cyborg Vince has not even booted up yet. So while he's down for the count, you know, on a, what do they call it, indefinite medical thing, loosen up with some of these scripts. You know, let some of these girls just talk the way that they talk. They're so bad at it. Let them loosen up, you know? Like, they're just so terrible. Loosen up. Gulak, Dempsey, and Damon Kemp strangled some guy. I don't know what this is about, nor do I care. It didn't lead to anything, so whatever. What did lead to something, however, was Thea Hale losing to JC Jane the previous week. So afterwards, Thea Hale was trying to argue her case with the referee, but the referee was like, my decision is final, and he walked away. Thea Hale was very upset. She said all of her momentum is gone, and it's all Andre Chase's fault for throwing in that towel. And then JC Jane approached her and gave her credit for being a bit of a spitfire and talking about how she's matured in the ring. Thea Hale was like, yeah, I'm a grown-ass woman. You know? So JC Jane gave her some advice, and Thea Hale was left to think about this. So she's being tempted to go to the dark side. JC Jane and Thea Hale as a tag team. Well, you just took JC Jane out of a tag team. It has to be, if they were going to do that, it had to be something worth fighting for. There's nothing to fight for. So I don't see the benefit of it, but I do see them eventually turning Thea Hale heel. You know, I think that's just kind of on the horizon, you know. But just having JC Jane give her credit, and, you know, which is kind of out of character for her, you know, so that was nice. Clearly they up to no good, you know, because why else would she be giving her any credit in the world? Baron Corbin and Von Wagner, Braun Breaker beat up both of them as Von Wagner is about to put Baron Corbin through a table. Braun Breaker came out of nowhere. Spirit Von Wagner was wearing a shirt that says best spear in the business. No lies detected on that one, by the way. I mean, just the intensity in which he does it, which will no doubt be changed when he gets to the main roster, as guys basically want to fall into the spear and not actually get hit. So that's definitely going to change. But I hope this isn't the beginning of the Baron Corbin thing that he wanted to do, the faction that he wanted to form. I mean, that would just be a bad idea. I mean, Baron Corbin is the equivalent of the Toxic Avenger. Just imagine you got like Michelangelo's David in a museum somewhere, right? And then you just allow some random toddler to scribble all over with his crayons. That's exactly what we got here with Baron Corbin within a stable with Braun Breaker. You have this guy who is no doubt about it, one of your top guys for the next 10 to 15 years. And you're going to let Baron Corbin be the guy that's going to mold his career? Fuck no. Oh, no. No, I don't. No. I'm hoping and praying that he ends up beating up Baron Corbin too. Because nobody wants this. Nobody asks for this. But the match never got started. Braun's got a hate boner for Von Wagner, so it's not going to happen. All right, main event of the evening. Wesley, Carmelo Hayes match gobbled up by commercials. Just so many commercials in this match. Carmelo Hayes wins with a nothing but net. Earlier in the night, him and Trick Williams were talking. Trick offered to be in Carmelo's corner. Carmelo Hayes was talking about asterisks next to his previous victories because of Trick Williams, and Trick was like, wait a minute. He had kind of a look in his face that was kind of like, what? But then he picked the belt up, he glanced at it a little bit, and then he handed it to Carmelo Hayes and said that he believed in him and he knew he could handle it on his own. So they're still teasing Trick Williams, turning on Carmelo. He did an interview before where he says that it was at one point like Batman and Robin, but he wants everybody to know that he's Batman too. There's not two Batmans though. You could be like Nightwing. You want to be Red Robin? You want to be like the Red Hood? I don't know. Can't be Batman though. The match between Wesley and Carmelo Hayes was pretty good. I instantly got pissed at the table spot. Now here's why the table spot pissed me off. Not that they did it, because it was actually very well done. So what happened if you didn't watch the match? Carmelo Hayes did a springboard, and he springboarded into a DDT. So he comes backwards, catches the head, DDTs Wesley through the table. It was a big brouhaha, holy shit chant. It was crazy. You would think, okay, from there they go immediately into the finish. Nope. He throws him in the ring. He tries to hit his finish, the nothing but net. But Wesley manages to escape and then hits his finish, the cardiac kick. Now, explain to me how you DDT a motherfucker through a table and then he still has the energy to not only counter your next move, but to then hit his finisher move. Get the fuck out of here. Like, you completely blew through that table spot. That was absolutely tremendous. And it was the high spot of the match. And to be quite honest, I don't see why you would do anything after that. After that table spot, you either should have laid there and both got counted out, or you should have threw him in the ring, hit your finish, and won, and then that would have been it. I really don't see the need for anything following that part. I just don't see it. I don't even remember anything outside of him hitting his finisher after that and winning the match. So, not just that Wesley, got up too quickly and I don't feel like he sold it properly. But it kind of blew past that the highest point of the match should be the finish, or at least something that builds up to the finish, because this didn't build up to the finish. They had to have more near falls after this. And it's like those near falls didn't matter. Those near falls did not matter. You didn't need them. But Carmelo Hayes wins. Right decision. Wesley, don't know what you do with him. I guess you call him up to SmackDown, put him with Hit Row or something. I don't know. I don't know what you do with the kid, but I think we're done with him in NXT. There's just nothing more for him to do. If he's not going to be the NXT champion, I guess he's going to end up turning heel eventually, I would suppose. But I think we did all we can do with this guy. All right, so NXT Heat Wave, or more like NXT Lukewarm Wave. I liked the mixed tag match. I liked Dragunov and Trick Williams. The main event was good as well, but the rest of the show was kind of it was kind of it was okay. This show definitely needed a surprise, and that's what I mean earlier by they choosing to just deliver and not try to over deliver. This show needed a return. It needed a surprise. It needed something to happen to get people interested in watching next week's show. Because looking at this show, there's nothing that occurred on this show that says, hey, you guys gotta watch this thing next week. You know, and by something needed to happen, I'm not sure even what I would have wanted to happen. But you have to already be an avid NXT fan to want to watch this thing next week. When you had Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley in the ring, and you ended it with Dominic losing, but that was it. That was just kind of like, that was it. Dominic lost. He had been on NXT for a little while. He had a really short feud with Dragon Lee, and Dragon Lee won the tag team match, and apparently they're going to have another match. You know, they didn't follow up on Rhea and Raquel to see what's going on there. They didn't talk about their history in NXT because they fought for the NXT women's title. They didn't talk about that. There was just a lot of opportunities that went by the wayside. There was no follow-up with the Garzas. Apparently, they're going to be doing a Pedros Del Mal style gimmick. I just not noticed it. You know, the scratch logo that they've been using is the logo of the Pedros Del Mal, which was a stable. I think it's called Dogs of War or something like that. It was a stable that their uncle was a part of, Hector Garza. And he was one of the founding members of that stable. Taya was in that stable too, by the way. But it was in AAA. So maybe they'll be doing something similar, but they didn't follow up on that at all. They made sure to touch on Dabba-Kato, which I don't understand, but there was no follow-up on the Garzas. Dijak yelled at the camera. I didn't pay him no attention because he's Chalkakovich. Who the hell cares about him? But it just felt like these shows are missing something. Like they could be bigger. They could be better. And I think maybe if they'd have took that women's promo segment out or, pared it down a little bit, and, I think it probably would have been much better, but even with that, the other parts of the show just kind of felt like they were there. Like if you're a really good fan of the Creed brothers and you've been invested in their story with the Schism, then I guess the cage match is interesting to you. But if you're not, then what does that really do for you? Ava Raine getting kidnapped, what does that do for you? She's a heel. Nobody really cares about her right now. So there's a lot to be desired here. And I feel like being critical on this show in particular is because you have to, when you have these branded shows, you should make it mean something, add a little something extra to the show, add a little something that people were not expecting to the show, a return, a debut or something, but they didn't do anything. No heel turn, no face turn, just nothing. Just blandly competent show, which is some of the worst kind of wrestling, if we're being honest. But this show had at least two bright spots because they had really good feuds going into it. That being Trick Williams and Ilya Dragunov and the mixed tag match. Both of those matches had really good storylines going into it. So those matches ruled. Everything else, yeah. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you.
MagMongoSlade. Best house I ever drew, Daddy.